Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Yuckmaster3, and what do you know, it's time for yet a new update video. Now the first couple of films that I'm going to show you in this update video are films that were kindly sent to me by two of my friends, and I'm going to start with the first of my friends that sent see these films for me. So these following films right here are films that were sent to me by my good friend Matt, aka DVD Review Studios on YouTube. If you're into anything like animated stuff, or like TV shows and stuff in general, go check out his channel. He's like really has great knowledge of that in general, I would say. But yeah, surprising comes as no surprise that this was the first one that I saw like in the package they sent to me, and it's the Doc Dodgers complete series. 39 episodes on 3 discs. Apparently, yeah, like the complete collection. For some weird reason, I always thought there were more episodes of this, but maybe then again, when you were younger, you always thought that things were running for such a long time. I mean, especially like the old Mr. Bean comes to mind. I mean, the one from the 90s. That just felt like it had so many episodes, but there's not too many of them in general. Um, but I remember this show being really fun as a kid. I mean, when I was younger, at least. Yeah, I mean, yeah, really cool. And apparently, this isn't very easy to come across these days either. So yeah, thank you very much for that one. And then he sent me Team America World Police right here. And this is from the creators of South Park, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I've never seen this film before. Uh, I think either I had it in the collection or I actually already have it. I'm not too sure about that, but this is a film that I've heard some really like interesting things about. Apparently, it's like about puppets, but it's like really really violent. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Then he sent me this one, the final cut with Robin Williams, and apparently this is one of his like only, not his only. I'm not saying it states that this is the only film he did that wasn't a comedy, but apparently a very unusual film for him to appear in. Apparently, but I have only heard good things about this one, so yeah, we're looking forward to see that one as well. And I am almost 100% sure that he sent me this just to piss me off a little bit. Like, aha, you like trash. I'm gonna send you trash. Um, this is a film I had no interest in watching at all. Ever since I saw the trailer and like the reviews and like who like the actors in and like some of the dialogue and some of the clips, it looked absolutely horrendous. But who knows? Maybe this will surprise me and I will say, oh, it's not too bad. Um, but yeah, I've always been like against this entire idea ever since I saw like the teaser trailer for this. Like, oh, come on. Um, but I mean, yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll make a review of this one eventually just to rant on it, or maybe I'll appreciate it for what it is. Who knows? But it's the the Crow remake with Bill Skarsgård. This one actually made a reaction video, not a reaction video, but like a reaction to the trailer, and like analyzed the trailer and like what I thought about it and like what I didn't like and whatnot. Uh, yeah, this doesn't look good, but I'll watch it eventually. Then he sent me this one, Peep Show Series 1, apparently some sort of like comedy series. And I asked one of my friends about this show, and he said to me that apparently this would never get made today. So I just assume there's some really crude humor in this one. So yeah, Peep Show. And then he sent me Legends of the Fall. Once again, a film that I think I might have in a collection. I'm not 100% sure on this one, to be fair, but yeah, we'll see. But eventually, I mean, I'm gonna check this one out. Apparently, this is like a what do you call it? Period drama, costume drama, Western drama. I'm not really sure, but well, who knows? I'll check it out eventually. So those were the films that were sent to me by Matt or DVD Review Studios. The next couple of films were sent to me by my good friend Tim, who is actually a mutual friend of me and Matt, actually. So we're gonna start with the Blu-rays right here. The first one is the Weird World. No, not the Weird World. The Weird and Wonderful World of Ojicha, which includes Violence Voyager and Burning Buddha Man, right here. A really cool looking cover art right there. Once again, I think this might be in the collection somewhere. I'm not too sure about this. I have to look up if there's any like ones that I already had in the collection, but yeah. Then we have this one that I've been wanting to get for quite some time, and for some reason I always passed on it. Not really sure why, but Apparently, this is like a Turkish production. It has been like compared to like Turkish Star Wars and stuff, and it is The Sword and the Claw right there, released by AGFA, or what I think it's like. Yeah, it's like a co-release, you can say, with the 101 Films and AGFA right there. And this one actually also includes the bonus movie Brawl Busters. I heard some really hilarious things about these films in general, so yeah, we're looking forward to see those. They look like typical like So Bad It's Good type of films in general, I would say. So yeah. Then we have this one, which is like blocked by like a sticker on there right there, but it is Annie's Men right there. I think this is like a drama film. No, wait a minute. It's like a folk horror. Yeah, completely forgot about that. Then he sent me this because he said, "Well, I know you like slasher films, like any slasher film, basically." So apparently he wasn't a very big fan of it, but he thought that I might enjoy it more, and it is the film called Hunter Kill Her, right there. Fairly new slasher film from I think this is like 2021 or something. 2022 according to the back of that. So yeah. Then we have is this yet another? This is like a supernatural type horror film, I believe, and this one's called Oddity. Yeah, also a fairly new film. And then the next two Blu-ray releases that he sent to me were films released by Arrow, and the first one is Lake Michigan Monster. Apparently, some spoof on like the old school like black and white like in Universal monster films. Apparently. At least that's the vibe I get from this. I can be totally wrong about this, but the combined spirits of H.P. Lovecraft earlier, Sam Raimi, and Mystery Science Theater 3000. I mean, that sounds like a weird combination of films right there. So, yeah. Looks really hilarious, though. And then we have this one, Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. Shows you the way to the highway. Wait. Really annoying to say that. I have no idea. I think this is like made in like some other country. Like I don't really know. It's like some African country, I believe. I can't think of the country right now, but I think this was made somewhere in Africa. I don't really remember which country though. But heard some really weird and strange things about this one, so that's gonna be fascinating. And the last Blu-ray he sent me was the film, which also I think was fairly new. This came out like last year, I believe. Can be totally wrong on that, but yeah, it's the film called Abigail, which I think is like a vampire film. If it's the one I'm thinking of. I mean, sometimes they just mix up like films from time to time, but yeah, Abigail, I've only heard really good things about this one, so yeah. Then we go to the DVDs that he sent me. First up, we have The Conversation with Gene Hackman. Always wanted to watch this, and I've only heard really good things about this one as well, so yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's supposed to be the Golden Gate Bridge right there, but I can be totally wrong about that. But so you have to correct me on that if I'm wrong. So yeah, might as well put that right over there. Then we have Sworn to Justice with Cynthia Rothrock, which really surprised me. I mean, I thought this was a really entertaining and awesome film all around. There's like apparently from the creators of Red Sun Rising, which kind of makes sense because Red Sun Rising, I would say, is one of the best Don the Dragon Wilson films out there. So I'm not surprised that they also were able to release a really good film with Cynthia Rothrock in there as well. So yeah, Swift Justice. If you like martial arts or Cynthia Rothrock, you might enjoy that one. I was a big fan of that one. Then we have this one, which I thought was released. This was released last year, I believe, maybe 2 years ago. I think it was supposed to hit theaters last year, but I'm not sure if it ever did over here. But it is In a Violent Nature, which apparently is like some sort of weird slasher film where you have like the point of view from the slasher basically like almost throughout the entire film. That's what I've been told, but yeah, we'll see. In a Violent Nature. Then we have like a double bill right here. Legends Drive-In Theater double feature exploitation film night, which includes The Cocaine Fiends and Reefer Madness right there. Apparently some propaganda type films. I actually asked my friend like, are these like documentaries? But he told me that these are like feature-length films which like dealt with like controversial things at the time apparently, because these were made in. Okay, that is total bullcrap because this wasn't made in 2013 at all. It's just the release, but yeah, for some reason it doesn't say. But these are like older, like maybe like 30s, 40s, 50s films or something, I believe. So yeah, Apparently, the ending to Reefer Madness is supposed to be really funny. That's what my friend told me. Then he sent me this Suicide Manual, which I always wanted to see. This is a Japanese film from the early 2000s. Apparently a really old release as well. This is released by like Terracotta, I believe they're called right now. But apparently back in the day they were called Terra because it says Terra release right there. So yeah. And also sorry for some of the bad lighting from time to time, but I'm doing my best with the resources I have. So then he sent me this that I actually really wanted to get hold of on DVD. This is a Full Moon release, and it's directed by David Dakota, who is probably most famous for the Shirtless Dudes films nowadays, which is really sad. But I mean, I would say this is probably one of his best films. This is so entertaining because of how goofy and stupid it is, I would say. So, Dr. Alien with Judy Landers right there. This has some really fun music in it as well, I remember. But I mean, the whole concept is stupid and kind of like retarded, but that's also what makes it really charming in my personal opinion. So if you do like Full Moon garbage in general, you might enjoy this one as well. So yeah, Dr. Alien. Then he sent me Ninjas versus Vampires. And I said that I really appreciated this front cover. I thought it looked really cool. But he said, well, lower your standards, because apparently he didn't like it at all. And it's just so weird because there's like a quote on here that says, it gets 10 effing awesomes. Jason Mewes, aka Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. I think that's very strange to put on your film, isn't it? I mean, yeah, whatever. But yeah, Ninjas versus Vampires, yeah. Might be trashy fun, who knows? Speaking of trashy fun, I'm pretty sure this one is going to be trashy fun. It's the film called House Shark. Whoever comes up with these concepts, with these like shitty shark films in general, I have no idea. I mean, ever since I heard of this film, I just wanted to see like a shark stand on like its fin, like making like a barbecue, like on a griller, like it's having like a grill, like barbecue night or whatever. I thought I thought that would be an amazing film. Don't think that's gonna happen in this film, but yeah, this looks so stupid but so hilarious. I mean, some of those films you know from the get-go what you're going into these type of films. I mean, you're not expecting to be like these films to be masterpieces or like good films at all. You know it's gonna be trash, but at least I'm hoping for entertaining trash. So yeah. Then we have Born to Fight. Once again, a film that I think I might have before. This is a typical like Filipino like action film that's supposed to take place like in Vietnam, I believe. And of course, I believe it's directed by, it doesn't say here on the front, I believe, Vincent Dawn, yeah. And Vincent Dawn is, of course, the alias for Bruno Mattei, who made lots of these films back in the 80s. So, but I mean, I mean, any film that takes place like in the Philippines, like in the jungle areas in general, I really like those films. I mean, I really like the setting of the jungle in general whenever they make a film in a real jungle, because you can totally tell that it's much more difficult to make a film in that environment than, for example, in a house or something, you know. So yeah. Then we have a film by the vampire sleaze master John Rowland, a film called Night of the Hunted, right there from the early 80s, I believe. So yeah. I think I really need to speed up because I have lots of other more movies to show you. So the next one I've only heard good things about as well. It's like a drama comedy with Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell, and it's the film called The Banshees of Inisherin. Banshees of Inisherin. I probably butchered the title right there, but yeah, that's the best I could do. Then I'm so glad that he sent me this film, because this was like the only film in that franchise. I mean, it's weird to say franchise because it's sort of like the same actors like portraying the same characters over and over and over again, like but at different locations and stuff. But and it is the Brides of Dracula, which was the last one that I had to get a hold of, with all the ones with like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee basically. But I don't think Christopher Lee is in this one. But it has Peter Cushing in it, so yeah, really stoked about that. So yeah, the Brides of Dracula. And then we have a film called Cobweb, which I've heard mixed things about. Looks fascinating in the front cover. Like looks like some weird witch like comforting like this kid. Oh, creepy. Then we have more Filipino type action films, I believe. This one, I'm not even sure if this has a release. I think this was released by Severin not too long ago on Blu-ray. I can be totally wrong about that, but I believe this is another. This has to be by Bruno Mattei as well. I'm not totally sure, but Double Target right there. So yeah, really cool. I mean, some of these bootlegs, I mean, even though they're bootlegs, I mean, I don't really care too much for bootlegs in general, but when they have really cool looking cover arts, I mean, and if like that's like the only option you can like, how you can get the films, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? And then we have a double feature right here, comedy with the Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men right there. Sorry for the glare, doing my best like I said before, so yeah. Then he sent me this. I mean, I think he sent me this. I mean, I really wanted to watch this because this looks like it's a really funny, so bad it's good film because it's like a Full Moon production released in the early 2000s. And it's the film called Horror Vision. Apparently this has Brink Stevens in it as well, so that could be fun. So, yeah. Something tells me she probably just has a cameo role. That's sometimes how it turns out to be. Then we have this film that I have actually watched before, and it is such a stupid film, but it's still so entertaining for how incredibly stupid it is, in my personal opinion. I mean, if you're not into shitty shark films in general, you will just despise this, just stay away from it. But if you get some enjoyment out of those films, yeah, you'll probably enjoy this one. It's the film called Ouija Shark, right here. And it says it's directed by Scott Patrick, but it's actually directed by Brett Kelly. And I've stated many times before, but like whenever someone says like, "Oh, this film is the worst film of all time," like if they like put in like mainstream film out there, like, "Oh, I don't really know an example right here," but I mean, let's say for example, any like shitty like Adam Sandler film or like something like that, or like some really stupid other like mainstream film in general. When they say like, "Oh, this is the worst film of all time," I always state that Brett Kelly's films, they are some of the worst films that I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, surprisingly, this is actually one of his best films, and that's saying a lot. Most of these films takes place like in warehouses, and it's just so really crappy quality, and the audio is really off and strange. There's not many things that I can say positive things about Brett Kelly, except for maybe this one. He also made a film called Conga TNT, which I also would say is somewhat entertaining because of how stupid it is. But I mean, the rest of his films are just absolutely almost impossible to get through because they're so bad. So if you ever say like, "Oh, I hate this film or this film or this film," check out any film by this guy, and you'll probably say this is the worst piece of garbage I've ever seen. So yeah, Ouija Shark. So yeah, let's continue with the next stack. I mean, this first one is actually like a bonus disc that I got because I like bought like a few films from a really terrific seller, and he sent me this. Great comedy movies, which includes Secret Agent Club, which I think I might have before, and that's actually a pretty fun, stupid, like Hulk Hogan film. But then it also includes Santa with Muscles. And Santa with Muscles is a really, really terrible film. There's like probably one or two really funny scenes in it. The rest is just very difficult to get through because of how stupid and bad it is. So yeah, thank you very much for that one. And then we have this film, which was directed by Harmony Korine, I believe. And it's a film called Julian Donkey Boy right there. Tartan release, old one. And by the way, I just need to show you this. But that's why I used to really despise the mail service from time to time. You see, this is the folder that I have right here, but it was arrived like this. Take a look at that case right there. That's how it got arrived. That's how it looked like when I got it. You see here? That's as horrendous it is from time to time. So you always need to have like functional covers or like functional things for it. Now I just completely lost track just because of that, but that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, Harmony Korine, I think I've only seen one of his films, and that was Gummo, and that was years ago. So if it's as weird as that film, this still gonna be fascinating. So yeah. Then we have the next one is a film called Daniel Boone. Apparently there's numerous of like different versions of this film. This is like I believe the oldest one, which was released in 1936. So yeah, some sort of adventure film. So yeah, this is released by Alpha Video, by the way. Then we have a Western film from, this has to be, yeah, it's a 50s film. And it's the film called The Proud Ones, right here. Yeah, I really got more and more into Westerns like in my later years in general. Then we have a film with Burt Reynolds from the 90s called Raven right there. This is like a snap case right here. I think, yeah, you already know how that looks. The one that just snaps right there. I remember when I got my first snap case and I actually thought I broke the entire case. I was like, oh no. And then we have this film. This is like some sort of Western drama film as well, which has a really interesting cast in it right here. Michael J. Fox, Rip Torn, Treat Williams, Tam2 Cardinal. Where the Rivers Flow North, right here. Yeah. Then we have a film with Bon Jovi, believe it or not, and William Forsythe and Bailing, and it's a film called Row Your Boat. Have no idea what this is about. I think this is it's another drama film. So yeah. And then we have a film with Lou Diamond Phillips and Joan Shen, and it's the film called In a Class of His Own from the late 90s. Yeah. Once again, I think that's another drama film. Oh, here we have it. I apparently already had this film, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Legends of the Fall, but this is the Swedish release. Ah, bummer. Then we have this one. This one I grabbed right away when I saw. I mean, I saw this on TV, and this one just really I was so impressed by this film. And it's the film called The Way Way Back. A fantastic sort of drama comedy, feel good type film in general, I would say. So if you're ever in a bad mood, put this one on, and you'll probably have a good time. Then we have another comedy film from the early 2000s. I think this is supposed to look like it was made in the 80s, like early 80s or late 90s. But it's the film called Wet Hot American Summer right here. I was just so lucky to get all of this DVD because apparently this DVD goes for stupid money in general. So yeah, I got a really good deal on that one, so I had to pick it up. Then we have Enemies, a Love Story right here from the late 80s apparently. I mean, I usually pick up anything 80s in general. I mean, and that's probably my favorite decade for films in general. Then we have a early 2000s comedy film called One for the Road. And I have to admit, I picked this one up mainly because of the cover, because of how simple but yet effective it looks. I mean, yeah, whatever. Judge for yourself. Then we have a film released by Hollywood DVD, a film called Walking Across Egypt. Once again, I think it's like a drama film. This is... Yeah, I'm not sure if this is 90. Yeah, it has to be 90, sorry. I think it is. Then we have a film from the 80s, once again, comedy film. And it's a film with Peter O'Toole called Creator, right here. Some goofy comedy film, science stuff involved, I believe. So yeah, at least according to this cover right here. So yeah. Then we have a film with Nicolas Cage, and apparently he plays a bum or something in this one, and that really just fascinated me and just really caught my attention. And it's the film called The Retirement Plan. There. So, and this one has Ron Perlman, and that's really interesting as well. I read up about this film before, and apparently the only reason why Ron Perlman decided to appear in this film is because he just wanted to work with Nicolas Cage, because apparently they worked together at one other occasion, and they thought, well, we need to make a film again together. So yeah. Then we have this one, the Bayside Shakedown, the movie 3, or Bayside Shakedown 3. This one was never released over here. Apparently I've only come across the first and second one. This is an import, an Asian import. Yeah. And then we have the fourth one, the final, The New Hope. I mean, there's so many things going on with this cover art right here. Bayside Shakedown 4, movie 4, The Final Hope, The Final New Hope. I have no idea. Look at this cover art. Looks really strange. So, yeah, whatever. Then we have this one, which I think I might have already showed you in a previous update video. And it's the film called, is this called The Prince? It's not called The Prince of New York. This is a French release, but I think it's Lord of New York? I have no idea what this is called, an official language, because apparently the French people really likes to put their their title on the front cover and not even state like on the back what it's called originally. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, looking forward to see that one. Then we have this film from the early 80s with Ryan O'Neal, Ann Archer, and Omar Sharif called Green Eyes right here. Some action film from the early 80s, and I've never seen this release ever anywhere, so that's another reason why I picked it up. So yeah. Can you say that I really talk too much because I've been going on for 25 minutes right now, so I really need to speed up a little bit. The next one is a film called Seems Like Old Times with Chevy Chase and Goldie Hawn and Charles Grodin right there. Early 80s comedy film. You know exactly why I picked it up. 80s. Then we have, I think this is like some sort of like James Bond spoof film. And it's a film called The Nude Bomb right there. That's just what just the way it looks on the back as well. It's just like, this really looks like some weird spoof film. So, yeah. Then we have another 80s comedy film called, what's it called? The Bustin' Loose with Richard Pryor. Right there. Also 80s. And then we have some, this has to be yet another one of those like Filipino productions in general. Commander Lewin. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that name, but yeah, right there. And then we have a film with Michelle Pfeiffer. This has to be like one of her earliest roles like ever, or very, very early 80s. The Hollywood Nights, right there. And then we have a film with Kurt Russell called Used Cars. Now the following four, not films, this was like a TV series that aired on Jetix back in the day, which I remember I thought was really fun for what it was. And like, yeah, Atom, Alpha Teens on Machines right here, volume 1. This one only includes like 2 episodes apparently, which is a little bit strange in my personal opinion, but yeah. Then we have the second one, also 2 episodes I believe, yeah. Third one right there. And then the 4th one right there. So yeah. Then we have a film with Patrick Swayze and Melanie Griffith called Forever Lulu. Early 2000s drama film. And then we have the film called The Bone Collector right here. And then we have from the early 90s, we have Airheads, which I think was one of the first appearances by Brendan Fraser. I'm not sure. I just completely lost track right here. I'm not really sure, but yeah, Airheads. Then we have this one, which I have seen before, and I thought this was a really good drama film, and it's the film called Hiroshima Mon Amour. Yeah, really sad, depressing drama film. Then we have a John Wayne Western film called The Undefeated. Yeah, I really like these old school cover arts as well, like hand-drawn cover arts are really the best. If you beg to differ, go somewhere else. But anyway, the next one is a 90s film called Homicide, thriller film. You just look at that cover art, and if you compare it to like this cover right here, which one do you prefer? I mean, I do really prefer the hand-drawn one, but yeah, whatever. Then we have this one, which I have seen before. This one has really surprised me. I mean, I don't think it's an amazing film. I mean, there's some really stupid things going on in this film, but I thought it was decent for what it was, at least. And I think this was like a made-for-TV production. This one has Warwick Davis in it playing one of the dwarves, and it's the film Snow White with Miranda Richardson right here. Yeah, really well put together a film in general. So yeah, it kind of surprised me actually, because I thought it was going to be really bad just based on like what I heard about it before. So yeah. Then we have Scenes of the Crime right here, with Jeff Bridges right here. Yeah, early 2000s thriller film, I believe. Has to be thriller, right? Yeah, it says thriller on the back. So yeah. Then we have a film with. Is this the one with? Maybe not. Yeah, Chris Christopherson. I'm not sure how big of a role he has, but 7 Minutes. Some sort of heist film. Looks cool. Now this one, I have to admit, I probably paid a little bit too much for this one, but you never see this for sale anywhere, and that was the only one I could find online, like ever, or like that I've ever come across at least. And it is the film called Executive Action, apparently about the whole JFK incident. So yeah. And then we have the original Nikita right here by Luc Besson, which I've never seen before, sadly. I mean, I've only heard really good things about this one, so yeah, really looking forward to see that one. And then we have Romance and Cigarettes. This is kind of a blind buy. This was made in the early 2000s, and it's a drama film, I believe. Yeah, so yeah. I also wanted to point out before I continue with the next stack, if I've showed you any of these films before, I really have to apologize, but that's just what happens sometimes when you just kind of forget what films have you already showed, but yeah. By the way, the next one is a film called The Face. Terrible title in my personal opinion. How can you even call your film The Face? It's sort of like to say like The Ghost or like The House. I mean, it's just, those titles are just really terrible in my personal opinion, but this is like a made-for-TV film from the 90s. Some of those made-for-TV films in the 80s, like 70s, 80s, 90s were really, really good. Once they came to like the 2000s, I thought they really dropped in quality really, really much. So, yeah. Then we have a double bill right here with films, two films. One film called Moving Target and the other one called Fatal Passion. Once again, I think more 90s stuff. And I think this one is from the 90s as well. This is the film Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I never grew up on the original Power Rangers. I thought I saw some later edition of like, yeah, I don't really know what that one was called, but it feels like a weird kaiju type film because, not film, but kaiju type show. It reminds me of old school like Godzilla things when there's like lots of explosions and sparkles and stuff going off. So it has that feel to it. So yeah. Then we have a film with Dolph Lundgren called Blackjack. Apparently this was directed by John Woo as well, according to the back front of this DVD. So yeah. Also 90s. Now we go back in time a little bit to 1948, and this is the film called The Man from Colorado. Yeah, Western film. And we continue with some of the Western films right here. The next one is a film with Kenny Rogers, believe it or not. And this one also apparently has Stacy Keach in it. It just says special appearance. I just assume it has just like a cameo, but this is a film called Rio Diablo. Once again, I think this is 90s? 92 according to the back of that DVD. Then we have this one, Prisoner 701 Sasori, which I have no idea if this is connected to the Prisoner Scorpion films. Female Prisoner Scorpion. I'm not sure if this is like... I think this is like some sort of like reboot or sequel. Not sequel. I think it's like some sort of like remake or something. Loosely made remake of the older ones. I'm not totally sure, but yeah. Now this one I was just so surprised that I found. This is a film that I've always wanted to get in my collection because I think it's a really, really entertaining and funny film. And whenever you see like a release by Artisan DVD, those films usually go for really stupid prices because those releases were like a big thing in the early 2000s, then they just kind of like disappeared altogether. So if you see any like movies that you like that are released by Artisan DVD, grab them if they're for a good price. And that's exactly what I did with this one. And it's the film called Gunmen with Christopher Lambert and Mario van Peebles. I really like Christopher Lambert. I think he's a really great actor and entertaining. Mario van Peebles is sort of like a hit or miss for me, in my personal opinion. But the reason why I like this film so much is because of the chemistry they have on screen right here. I mean, there's some really comedic stuff going on, and especially really fun action also. So yeah, if you've never seen this one, I can highly recommend it. So yeah. And this is yet another pretty fun action type film, and this one has Peter Weller, Charlotte Lewis, and Robert Patrick in it, and it's the 90s film called Decoy. I believe if this is the thing, if this is the film that I'm thinking of, I think this has like horror elements to it as well, but it was 80s since I saw it, so yeah, I really need to rewatch that one. Then we have some animated stuff called Gisaku. I probably butchered the title right there. Animated film from 2005, I believe. Of course, it doesn't say on the back, but yeah, whatever. Then we have this film called The Web. which apparently is known as something else, because I think I actually accidentally already have this film, but under another title. This is directed by the one and only David A. Pryor, who like directed some of those really funny, like low budget action films in general. Those are really really fun in general. Really fun soundtracks, and usually like really like funny actors and dialogue. Don't go into his films expecting like masterpieces. Go into them like having a good time. I mean, just invite your buddies and you'll have a laugh at that. Then we have early 2000s thriller film called The House Next Door, right there, with Teresa Russell. So yeah. Then we have a film by the one and only Steven Spielberg, a film called Always. Has to be a drama film, right? Yeah, drama film from the not early, but late 80s. Then we have the film called The River from the early 80s with Mel Gibson and Sissy Spacek. There, The River. And we continue with the rivers right here. The next one is called River Wild from the 90s with Kevin Bacon, Meryl Streep. Then we have this one, Robinson Crusoe, with Pierce Brosnan. I'm not sure, was that based on a true story? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Then we have an action film with Eric Roberts. I'm not sure if this is actually like a full-blown action film. Could be more of a thriller type film. But once again, a film from the 90s, and it's the film called Power 98. Eric Roberts. Then we have some more animated stuff. This one is called Vexil. Vexil, I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. And I'm not sure, I think it's the same. Yeah, it's pretty much like the same cover right there as well, like in slipcase. But yeah. And we continue with some more stuff right there. Requiem from the Darkness, the complete collection, with 13 episodes. Some of those, like Japanese ones, usually don't run for too long. I mean, just like, they're usually like maybe like maximum of like 20 episodes from time to time. And then we have this one, ROD, Read or Die. So maybe this is from like for some of the nerds out there, I'm not really sure. But yeah, looking forward to see this one as well. I think this is yet another one of those. Is this like a feature-length film? It could be a feature-length film. Yeah, it is. So yeah, my apologies. Then we have this one. This is apparently like some sort of like documentary. And it's a film called Arakimentari. Right there. So yeah, Tartan DVD release. And then we have another film with Mel Gibson called The Man Without a Face. Right there, so yeah. And then the last one for this stack right here is the film called Standoff, which I think is yet another 80s, not 80s, 90s action film right there. So, and I think this one has Denzel. Is that Denzel Washington? Yeah, it has to be Denzel Washington, right? Don't quote me on that. I think I really need to speed up because I haven't even gotten to the horror films yet, and I still have a really large stack right here. So the next one is a film called Let's Go to Prison. Sort of like a blind buy, some sort of comedy film. I've always been like interested in films, like not interested, but I always have a soft spot for some of those films that takes place in like in prison, like in jail in general. So, yeah. Then we have a film with Michael. I almost said Michael Jackson, not gonna lie. Samuel L. Jackson and Christina Ricci called Black Snake Moan, right there. Yeah. Need to do it like this instead. And then we have once again a film with Christopher Lambert called Beowulf, which I've heard really terrible things about. This is like from the late 90s. So yeah. Then we have a film with Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton and Cate Blanchett in it. And it's a film called Bandits, early 2000s. Could be, yeah, I think it's 2001, so yeah. Let's see here, let's put that one right there. Then we have Western film, early 2000s Western film. I mean, you don't see Western films very often these days, which is really a shame in my personal opinion. I have yet to see the Kevin Costner film, which came out last year, I believe, which is apparently didn't do very well at the box office at all, but that looks very interesting to me. And this is the film called American Outlaws, which I've not heard too many good things about, to be honest, but yeah, whatever. Then we have a film which for the longest time I thought this one was called Silver, but apparently it's called Sliver, right there, with Tom Berenger and Sharon Stone and William Baldwin. The main reason why I picked this one up was because of Tom Berenger, because I think he's a very like underrated actor in general. And then, don't ask me why I picked this one up. This is a horrendous film, but I'm a fan of the actors. Maybe that's the reason why I picked it up in the first place. And it's National Lampoon's Lost Resort with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. I mean, unless you're a diehard fan of these people in this film, stay away from it. That's my only thing I can say about that. But yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it eventually, see if I appreciate it more. So yeah, that's sometimes you when you watch a film, sometimes you just need to rewatch it to fully appreciate it, or like you find some other interesting things about it the second time around. So yeah. Then we have a film with Nicolas Cage and Sarah Jessica Parker and James Caan called Honeymoon in Vegas. Yeah. Nicolas Cage looked very like depressed on that cover art. And then we have some like films released by Replay. I'm not really sure if the company is called Replay. I think there's like some other company that's like kind of owning that company. It's weird, but they Replay in a way. They won with that little like label right there. But and the first one is the film called Dr. T and the Women. I have to admit, the only reason I picked it up was because it was like a Replay release. So yeah, I kind of collect those. They usually like release films that were like made in the late 80s, early 90s, and they're usually like low budget action films in general. And this one is actually late 90s, I believe, and it has Elijah Wood and Edward Burns in it, and it's a film called Ash Wednesday, which I've heard some really good things about. So yeah. Then we have a film from the early 2000s called Warrior Queen. Yeah. Let's see here. And the next one is actually a film with C. Thomas Howell and Roddy Piper in it. Once again, a film that I've heard really terrible things about, but I mean, I kind of like some of those low-budget, trashy films in general. Sci-fi action, a film called The Shepherd. Once again, it's a terrible title in my personal opinion. You should never go for some of those titles. Now, this one I've never seen for sale anywhere. That's the reason I picked it up, and it was also a Replay release. So yeah, and it's a film called The Lost Riders from the 90s, early 90s. And then we continue with the Replay releases right here. This is, I think, this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last Replay release. And it's the film called Intacto. Yeah, right there. So yeah. And then we have a film with Jeff Speakman and Angie Everhart. I mean, Jeff Speakman is one of those like action actors that never really got big, which is really like unfortunate, because I think some of his films are really entertaining and his acting is actually pretty darn decent. And this is the film called Running Red, right there. Yeah, this has to be late 90s apparently. Then we have another film with Cynthia Rothrock, and this is the film called Outside the Law. And yeah, never heard anyone talk about this one, so who knows? Could be good, it could be bad. And then we have these two. I'm gonna show these at the same time actually. We have the first Clerks right here, and then the second one, Clerks 2. Yeah, heard some really good things about the first one. Heard mixed things about the second one, so we'll see if I enjoy those. Then we have this one, Jama Fanaka's Black Sisters Revenge. Apparently some sort of like women in prison type film, so that's the reason why I picked it up. And then we have a Hong Kong production, like a Hong Kong type film, The Fortune Code. Right there. Yeah. Then we have yet another Asian film. This film is called, what's it called? Ashes of Time Redux. Not really sure what Redux means. Maybe like a different cut of the film. Not totally sure, but yeah. Then we have a film called Ironheart with Bolo Jung from the early 90s. Which this is very confusing to me, because apparently Bolo Jung plays like the main bad guy in this film, and they put him like on the front cover. Usually you put like your hero character on the front cover, but yeah, whatever. Then we have a sort of like a dance type film. This film is called Lambada from the early 90s. The reason why I picked this one up was because I checked out the two films, the breakdance film, Breakin' 1 and 2, I believe they were called, from the 80s, and I really appreciated those for what they were. I mean, usually I'm not a fan of those type of films, but those films had so much heart to them in a specific way, so yeah. Then we have a western film with James Garner and Sidney Poitier in it, and it's a film called Duel at Diablo, which I've always wanted to watch. So yeah. Then we have a film which I have seen before, which I didn't care too much for, but then again I need to rewatch it. This one has Lee Van Cleef and Jack Palance in it. I think also Sybil Danning makes like a cameo role in this one, and it's a film called God's Gun. Yeah. And we'll continue with some of the westerns. Then we have, this is like I think this is an Australian release, but yeah, anyway, this is the film called Hard Country. Right there. Yeah. Kind of a blind buy, but I mean, some western films I really appreciate that genre in general. Then we have yet another western film with Kenny Rogers, and this is the film called Coward of the County. Right there. So yeah, I think both those Kenny Rogers western films were like made for TV in general. So yeah. Then we have a film with Sean Connery called The Anderson Tapes, some sort of spy thriller apparently. At least what I get from the front cover and like everything else. So yeah. Then we have another 80s film. This one is called Little Darlings with Christy McNichol. Right there. Feels like it almost sounds like a goofy like comedy, but it feels, just when for some reason I always thought that was like a drama film. I could be totally wrong about that though. Then we have early 80s Disney film called Midnight Madness. Yeah. Then we have a Troma release. You know what? I should have put this in along with the other Troma releases, but yeah, whatever. This film is called Squeeze Play, some sort of like sex comedy or like goofy comedy from the 70s apparently. So, and most of the time, whenever they have like actors on the front cover, they're usually not in the film, so don't really know what's up with that. Then we have early 80s romance film called Endless Love, which I've not heard too many good things about, but I won't judge for myself. That's what I usually do. Then we have yet another made-for-TV film. This is released by Warner Archive Collection, and it's a film called Death of a Centerfold, the Dorothy Stratton story, which is like a really sad story if you know whatever happened with that, or like if you read up about that case. But yeah, if you do know your true crime stuff, you probably know what happened. And then you have this one with, the reason why I picked this one up was because of Lou Diamond Phillips, and this is yet another one of those artisan DVD releases which are usually really hard to come across. And this film is called The Dark Wind from the early 90s. I'll probably need to replace that one. Cover art, or not cover art, but the folder or whatever. The case was probably cracked. Then we have Second Skin. Kind of a blind buy, to be honest, but seems interesting. You know what? Now there's not too many left right here on the ground, so might as well just put them in my lap right here. Then we have Spider's Web with Stephen Baldwin and Carrie Werder. Then we have this. This is actually a double pack or whatever. 2 movies. The Evil Below and Inner Sanctum. Now the reason why I picked this one up was because of Inner Sanctum, which I didn't have before. The Evil Below I already had in another release, so yeah. Then we have a Takashi Miike film called Young Thugs, Innocent Blood. Yakuza film from the 90s, of course. Then we have this one, which I have seen before, which I didn't care too much for, but then again, I need to rewatch it because it's yet another one of those 80s like comedy or like drama films. Oxford Blues with Rob Lowe right there, looking really happy right there on the front cover. And the last one for this stack right here is a film called Death Valley. This is apparently known as something else, but apparently it's like about some like group of people that get stranded out in the middle of nowhere, and like they have to fight motorcycle gangs basically apparently. So yeah, that's what I've read up about that. So yeah. So finally we've reached the horror section of this video. Almost been talking for 50 minutes, so this is probably going to be my like largest update video, like biggest update video I've ever made. So, but we'll but we'll start with a few Troma titles right here. Let's see, I'm gonna put that one right there. The first one being Sugar Cookies. Of course, I know some of these Troma releases are not like always like straightforward horror films, but I mean they ended up in this section of the video. Then we have Tomcat Angels, early 90s action film. And then we have this one which looks really strange, Vegas in Space. Yeah. And then we continue with Vegas and with Lust and Desire in Vegas from the 90s. Not really sure if I actually could show you that on screen, but yeah, whatever. Then we have this one called Tales from the Crapper. Some sort of like an anthology film from the early, let's see, early 2000s, I believe. So yeah. Are those really all of the Trauma releases? I could have swore there were more Trauma releases in this update video, but yeah, whatever. Let's continue then. Let's move these ones away right here. Yeah. The next one is a slasher film, apparently, from the early 2000s called Tamara, which I've always wanted to watch that, so yeah. And then I picked this one up. I mean, this was my favorite, one of my favorite films that I watched last year, and it is the film called The Substance. I always kind of describe this like as this is the film that David Cronenberg wished he directed, because it's a really great body horror film in general. So yeah, amazing film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Then we have this one, which I also wanted to see, but for some reason they didn't show it over here in theaters, which is really a shame, so I picked it up on DVD instead. And it's the film called Strange Darling. Yeah, from last year. Or was it last year? Maybe 2 years ago right now, to be fair, so yeah. Then we have Resident Evil Death Island. We get another one of those like animated stuff, or like animated computer animated films. I have 3 previous films. I'm not sure if they're connected. I think they're pretty much like standalone films in general, because their first one was called like Degeneration, the next one was called Damnation, and the third one was called Vendetta. So I don't think they're connected with each other at all. So at least that's what I get from that. Let's see here. Let's put this right here. Then the next one, don't ask me. I mean, the only reason really why I picked this one up was just to complete that franchise. I've heard some terrible things about this one, but it's Leprechaun Origins, which was the first Leprechaun film which didn't have Warwick Davis in it. I have seen Leprechaun Returns, and to be fair, that was actually pretty good, pretty fun for what it was. Then we have a film taking place out in the snow called Hobbs End, and I really, really like that front cover right there. So yeah, we'll see if it lives up to that. It probably doesn't. Spoiler alert, probably. Then we have like an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, I believe. And this film is called The Whisperer in Darkness. Yeah. Then we have some Asian stuff right here. The first one being New Blood from the early 2000s. Now that looks like a really scary face right there, if you ask me. So yeah. And then we have The World of Kanako. There. I don't think, maybe this is not really a full-blown like action horror film, but yeah, we'll see. Then this one I always wanted to see. This is a film called this is a film by Sion Sono. He always like he makes really weird films in general, and they're sometimes really hard to get through because of how weird and confusing they are. But this is a film called Noriko's Dinner Table. Yeah. I think this one is real long as well. That's usually the case with these films. 159 minutes. Damn, that's a really long film. And then we continue with more Japanese stuff. This one is a special double feature presentation of The Locker, which also comes with Locker 2 from the early 2000s. I had never heard about this film before picking it up, and I've never seen it for sale anywhere. So sometimes when I pick up a film, I usually pick up films which I never see like ever, like if there's like something that I've never seen like out in the wild. So yeah. Then we have a film by, is this the one? No, yeah, this is the film which was directed by the same guy who directed Grotesque from 2009, I believe. And this is his film called Yurei, The Uncanny, from the 2000s. Some sort of ghost film, apparently. Then we have this one, which I'm definitely going to butcher the title of. Kotsutsubo. Yeah, pardon my Japanese. My Japanese isn't very good. Then we have apparently some like unrated limited edition of a film called Cruel Restaurant, which I've not heard too many good things about, but I mean, it looks like it has some really entertaining like blood and gore effects, so yeah, I'll be in for that. Then we have Beautiful Target, some sort of like Japanese sleaze from the 90s. This almost, yeah, this has to be like a Pinku film. Yeah, I think that's the case with that one. Then we have a film by Kenta Fukasaku, who is actually the son of Kinji Fukasaku, who directed the Battle Royale. Actually, Battle Royale 2 was co-directed by Kenta Fukasaku because his father apparently passed away during production, which was really sad. But this is Kenta Fukasaku's film Black Rat. Right there, really cool looking front cover in my personal opinion. Really cool. Then we have this one, Kirei, which, I mean, the Terror of Beauty. I mean, Kirei, I believe, is pretty much like beautiful in Japanese, or like pretty, basically. So yeah, maybe some body horror. It looks like a body horror type film. So yeah. Then we have a film called Roommate. Lots of Japanese films in this update right here. So yeah, I'm always looking for Japanese horror films in general because I usually think they're really atmospheric and really cool. Then we have an anthology film called Sue, right there. Really weird looking cover art right there. In order to survive, you have 5 choices. So I think this is like a 5 stories into this film, or like anthology film. So yeah. Then we have this one, which I have seen before, and I was so glad that I found this for sale. And it's a film called Last Supper from the mid-2000s. Sort of like a cannibal type film with lots of really entertaining blood and gore effects and some really funny humor in it as well, if I remember correctly. So yeah, if you have dark humor, that is. So yeah. Then we have this one, Assault, Jack the Ripper. Once again, this has to be like a Pinko film. This is released by Mondo Macabro. And right after I picked this one up, it wasn't very cheap, and it wasn't, it wasn't overly like super expensive, but it was pretty expensive. Right after I picked this one up, and this one got arrived to me in the mail, my friend told me, well, they're gonna release this on Blu-ray now. I'm like, well, then I wouldn't have needed to pay that price for this one. So yeah, but anyway. Then we have this one. This is actually a South Korean film, and it's a film called Teenage Hooker Became a Killing Machine. I'm not sure if that's the official title or not, because I think IMDb states something else. This only runs for 60 minutes, so that's going to be interesting to see how much they will be able to put into a 60-minute film. Now this one, I remember, I just wasn't interested in this one bit. You know, when this was released, I thought, oh my god, this looks horrendous. But this turned out to be really good and a really big surprise for me. And it is the film called Warm Bodies. The reason why I enjoyed this one so much was because of the chemistry of the characters and the actors, and especially the concept. I mean, the concept on paper sounds really stupid and really retarded and really like, ugh. But I mean, yeah, really surprised the hell out of me at least. So yeah, Warm Bodies. Let's see here. I just want to put these up right here. Then we have, these are apparently like, let's see if it's all of those. At least these two are actually like bootlegs apparently, which is really unfortunate because I didn't think about that before buying them. But the first one being the Necrophiles, which usually shows up on some of those like disturbing movies lists, or like the disturbing movie iceberg, I believe, like pretty low and like further down. And I don't understand why. I mean, this is a goofy film. I mean, this almost feels like a Dead Alive or like a Brain Dead type of scenario. So I don't understand why this one is put on that list at all. This is a really goofy, stupid, entertaining type of film in general if you like trash. So apparently this is, it's not directed by the guy, but he's in the film, the guy who's the narrator for Faces of Gore, those type of films. So if you want to have an annoying voice in your film, you just hire this guy, because when he popped up on screen I thought, oh my god, someone just needs to kill him off. And then of course I decided to have this one in there as well, the Necrophiles 2, which I have never seen before. So yeah, probably lots and lots of gore in those films. Then we have this film. This is actually, I think this is the very first film from Malaysia that I've actually picked up, and it's a horror film called Hysteria right there. So yeah, that's probably the biggest reason why I picked it up, because I've never seen a film from that country before. And then we have a film with Jake Busey and Stacy Keach called Death Row, with like a really weird looking, yeah, it's just type of like the same type of cover right there, but maybe more of a thriller, who knows. Please let me know if you've seen it. And then I needed to pick this one up just to complete that franchise, and it's a Lake Placid Legacy. I've only seen the first two. The first one is goofy fun. The second one is sort of like a so bad it's good, and I've heard the rest are supposed to be really, really, really bad. Like not even like so bad it's good type of bad, but I'll judge for myself eventually. So yeah. Okay, let's continue, shall we? Really need to speed up right here now. The next one is a film, an Italian horror film called Symphony in Blood Red, which I've heard mixed things about. Some sort of modern day giallo film. And then we have this one, The Night Eats the World. Really cool title. But I don't like the fact that this, when they say 28 days later meets Shaun of the Dead. That sounds weird. Anyway, the next one is a film with Brittany Murphy in it called Deadline. This is apparently included in that dark label. Right there, it has number 13. I'm not really sure. I think I have most of those, but some of them are just really hard to come across. And this one is apparently number 1 in that label, or like the dark label one. And it's a film called The Chair, which I haven't really heard that many good things about. But yeah, want to judge for myself like usual. And then we have the original one, Let the Right One In, a Swedish horror film, vampire film. This one actually did get a remake as well that was just called Let Me In. And not sure if I'm going to check that one out. Well, maybe I will eventually, but I remember not caring too much about this one the first time I watched it, but it has really grown on me ever since I rewatched it numerous of times. So whenever I rewatch it, it seems like I enjoy it more. So yeah. And then we have Sweeney Todd, not the Johnny Depp one. This is like another one from the... Isn't this one of the older? No, it's not. This has to be... I think this came out around the same time as the other Sweeney Todd film. Can be told wrong about that, but yeah. Then we have like an anthology film, you can say, with Door into Darkness. Now this one I picked up because Dario Argento directed one of these shorts right in here. He directed a film, or like a short film called The Tram, which I've never seen before. But you also have Luigi Cosi directing the first episode called The Neighbor, so that's another reason why I picked it up. So yeah. Then we have this one. Always want to see this one, Fender Bender. So modern day slasher film. Anything slasher related I usually pick up. I'm a sucker for those films. Then we have this one, Gyo Tokyo Fish Attack. Apparently this looks like a shitty shark film, but apparently this is also like computer animated, which just really blew my mind. Like, oh, this is gonna look very strange and really cool. Yeah, we're looking forward to see that one. Then we have another film released by that same company, Terracotta. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but this is the film called Death Bell, and I think this one is South Korean. Can we tell? Yeah, Korean. Yeah, South Korean film. And then we have a Chinese film. I think this has to be Chinese because languages is Cantonese and Mandarin, and it's the film called what's it even called? Fairy Tale Killer. Yeah, that also looks like a slasher film, but yeah. Then we have yet another. I think this is another one of those spoof films that they were spoofing old school like monster films, and this one is called Dark and Stormy Night. Yeah. Then we have the last two are also probably bootlegs, at least what I've been told. But this next one I've seen before, and when I saw this, I thought this was an unofficial release, of course. But I've seen this one before, and it's a really obscure film, and it's a film called Ritual of Death. This one has so many awesome things going on with it. I mean, it has really cool looking blood and gore effects. I mean, if you're a gore hound and you haven't seen this one, I can really recommend this one. So yeah. Then we have yet another Japanese film. Is this Japanese? Yeah, it has to be Japanese. Yeah, Kaori Hoshino. Sometimes you can see that on the names right here. And this one is called The Sound of Summer. I think this is yet another body horror type film. So yeah. Now finally the last stack of horror films before we get into the Blu-rays. Now the next one is a film called Evil Breed with Jenna Jameson and Richard Grieco as well. What a weird cast. I've actually heard this is not as bad as many people make it out to be. I'm not sure about that. Then we have this one from the early 2000s, slasher film called Final Examination by Fred Olen Ray. So yeah, Schlockmeister Fred Olen Ray. Then we have Dead Mary, which I have seen before, which I didn't care too much about, but want to rewatch it and see if I like it more the second time around. Then we have Silent Scream, sort of like a blind buy. Heard mixed things about it. I think a friend of mine saw it and he didn't care too much for it, but I think he said to me, well, you like trash, you'll probably like that one. Then we have Population 436 with Fred Durst. I'm not sure if you can see that right there. Yeah, Fred Durst from, of course, Limp Bizkit. Then we have The Funhouse Massacre with Robert Englund, but apparently I've been told that Robert Englund only has like a weird cameo, and of course they needed to put his name on the front cover just because of that, so yeah. And then we have some new to films releases. This one I think is, yeah, it's a Spanish film. Is it Spanish? I'm not sure if this was like made in Spain or if this was made like in Mexico. I can be totally wrong about this, but this is the film called Hooked Up, right there. And then a Swedish horror film apparently. Usually they turn out to be really, really bad, most of them. Let's be honest. This one is called Mara from 2012 or 2012, depending how we say it. And then we have I think this is a Canadian film called The Incident. Yep. And then we have a film called Sony. Yeah. And then the last one for the new to films releases is a film called I Stay With You. Once again, a foreign film. This one is from Mexico, actually. So, yeah. Got more and more into those Mexican horror films in general. Then we have this one, a film called Elfie Hopkins. Looks like some weird, like, comedy film. Horror comedy. Can be totally wrong about that, but yeah. Yeah, it says here on the back. A delicious mix of comedy, suspense, and horror. Yeah. And then the last for the DVDs right here, like the horror DVDs, is the film called Maggie with none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, yeah. Now, the last couple of films right here is going to be the Blu-rays, finally, like 1 hour and like 7 minutes into this update video. First one being Defiance, which is actually like a like DVD Blu-ray combo pack, I believe. This is a sort of like a revenge film in a way, or like a vigilante type film, you can say, from the early 80s with none other than Jean-Michael Vincent. And this one is directed by John Flynn, who also directed Brainscan, who also directed Rolling Thunder, which I also think is one of the best vigilante type films. So if you like those type of films in general, go check this one out. This is really, really cool and really, really awesome. Really glad I found that one. Then we have two films released by MVD. I think it's just called MVD, to be fair. Some sort of women in prison film called Nathalie Escape from Hell. Some sleaze from the 70s, apparently. And then a thriller film, or like horror thriller, whatever you want to call it, from the late 80s called Mind Games. Really like that front cover. Then we have two films released by Warner. The first one is called From Hell It Came, which I've heard stupid things about. It's about like a killer tree stump. Just that really makes me want to watch it. And then just for the sake of it, I'm going to go Friday the 13th, original one. Why did I pick this one up? I already have like different like editions of this one. I didn't have it on Blu-ray. That's why I picked it up, and it was really, really cheap. So yeah, couldn't pass on that one. Then we have a collection of films released by Intervision, and it's the Plaga Zombie Trilogy. Once again, I think these are Mexican films. So like really low budget like zombie films, like splatters and stuff. So yeah. Then we have a film called The Spicer from the early 2000s. Which looks really stupid and really hilarious at the same time, if you ask me. So yeah, really like that front cover as well. Released by Visual Vengeance, by the way, if you want to know. And then we have a film released by Kino Lorber, and it's a film called Mysterious Island of Beautiful Women. Right there. So yeah. Then we have a women. Is this a women? Yeah, I think this is a women in prison film. Has to be a film called The Big Bust Out. There, 70s, I think. Yeah, 73. Then we have this collection of films, Nemesis, the complete box set, which includes all of the Nemesis films. I had the first one on DVD, and I had part 2 and 3 on VHS before, but I never had part 4 anywhere, so yeah, just for myself, might as well pick up that collection. And then we have Halloween Haunt, which is apparently just known as Haunt, I believe. I think that's the original title. I'm not sure if that says here on the back. It just actually just says Halloween Haunt. Damn, that's what happens sometimes. Stupid me. Clumsy like usual. Yeah, Halloween Haunt. Once again, a modern day slasher film. And then you might ask yourself, why did you pick this up? It's a film that is so stupid that it's good, in my personal opinion. Shark and Saw Women Prison Massacre. Oh, this is, you know exactly what you get when you get into a film like that. Then we have this one. This is directed by David A. Pryor. That's the only reason I picked it up. I've seen it once and I thought it was horrendous. Actually, I would say this is one of his worst films he's ever made. And it's The Night Claws, which sadly was also one of his last films he directed. So, yeah. Then we have I think this is a Chinese film called Limbo. Some sort of like serial killer film apparently, so yeah. And then we have a horror film called The Barn, which I've only heard really good things about. Apparently Linnea Quigley is in this one as well, so that's going to be really cool. And then we have a couple of films, 3 films released by Mondo Macabro once again. First one being Suddenly in the Dark from South Korea. And then we have a film, I think this is no, never mind. I think they lost. Is this a Jello? No, I don't think it's a Jello. Never mind. The Killer is Not Alone. And apparently this was like a limited edition as well. I'm pretty sure if you can see that right there. So, yeah. And I think the last one is also a limited edition. This is a film called The Hungry Snake Woman. And I think this is like an Indonesian film with that actress Susana was also in like the Queen of Black Magic, which I would love to get a hold of. That was also a Mondo Macabro release, but that is long gone out of print and it goes for really stupid prices nowadays, so yeah. Then the next 3 films right here are films released by 88 Films. The first one being The Seventh Curse, some sort of like action horror mix right there. And then we have this one, Friday Foster with Pam Grier. I've seen it once, didn't care too much for it that time around, but yeah, need to rewatch it. And then we have Watcher in the Attic, which I think is more of like a Pinko film. I think this one was also released on Mondo Macabro, by Mondo Macabro, and that also goes for stupid prices. So I'm glad I got the Blu-ray. Then we have the next couple of films are released by Severin. The first one being La Noche de la Ira, which I think is called like Night Hunt or something, I believe. Blood Hunt. You have the alternate cover art right there. 80s action horror type film, I believe. Now and then we have this one. This is directed by Dario Argento. This was the last Dario Argento film that I needed to get a hold of to like complete my entire like Dario Argento collection apparently. And this is his apparently his only non-horror title, I believe. It's the film called The 5 Days, which I'm not even sure if I can even play this because it says Ultra HD Blu-ray, so I'm not even sure if I can play this one in my player, but yeah, we'll see how that goes eventually. So yeah. Then we have Bruno Mattei, Filipino action film, cop game. Once again, when it comes to some of those Bruno Mattei like Filipino films, they always come with really amazing cover arts. Then we have I think this is yet another horror film. It doesn't look like horror. It might be more of like a character study or something, but Clear Cut, right there, 90s, I believe, late 80s, early 90s apparently. Then we have this one, My Grandpa is a Vampire, which is more like apparently like a kid-friendly horror film. So yeah. And then the last for the Severin films right here is a film called No Way Home, which I've heard really good things about. Some sort of like crime drama film with Tim Roth. So yeah. Then the next couple of films right here are going to be films released by Vinegar Syndrome. First one being this one, The Cardona Collection, Volume 2. You might ask yourself, why didn't you pick up Volume 1? I already had like 2 of the 3 films on other releases, so I thought, well, that feels a little bit unnecessary to pay that amount of money just for that, for just one film that I didn't have before. But then this one has Beaks the Movie, Under Siege, La Casa que de Noche, SOS, Conspiration, Bikini. And then we have this one, Curse of the Devil, Demon Witch Child, and The Vampire's Night Orgy. The only one which I have seen out of these were The Demon Witch Child, which was directed by the same guy who made like the Blind Dead films. Really underrated film in general. The other ones I haven't seen. Curse of the Devil, I believe, is like a Paul Naschy film, and The Vampire Night Orgy sounds like a Jess Franco film. Can be totally wrong about that though. Then this is actually Upgrade right here, Spectres right here, and Maja, both directed by the same director. Both films that really needed a better transfer because the other ones I had before had really terrible transfers, I believe. And then we have another one that really benefited from a better quality of like print or whatever. Criminally Insane and Satan's Black Wedding. Satan's Black Wedding I've never seen before. Criminally Insane I have seen before, and it's actually a pretty underrated film in general. I mean, the sequel and all the films that guy directed afterwards are really low budget, shot on video like stupidness, really. So yeah. And then I picked up The Grave with Craig Sheffer. Only heard really good things about this one. I had another release of this one before, but there's some weird, strange things going on with the aspect ratio where it just looked like you looked into through a window on an airplane. I mean, I'm telling you, it looks that bad. So yeah, the aspect ratio on that one was just horrendous. So that's the reason why I picked up this one. The picture quality on that one wasn't too bad, but I mean, just the aspect ratio really took me out of that. So yeah. Then we have a film called Dog Tags. And once again, with really amazing looking cover art right there. So yeah, I think it has to be Filipino, either Filipino or Indonesian. I'm not really sure. Then we have another one which I picked up because that other transfer I had before was a little bit shitty. So Blue Vengeance, yeah. And then we have the Candy Tangerine Man right there, and it has a bonus feature on here right here called Lady Cocoa, which I think I might have before, but yeah, want to check out that other one, like blaxploitation films from the 70s. And then the last two Blu-rays right here are going to be films Penitentiary, the first one, and Penitentiary, the second one. I think there's a third one as well, but I think that was never released by Vinegar Syndrome for some reason. I'm pretty sure why. Maybe rights issues or something like that. I'm not really sure, but yeah, Penitentiary 1 and 2. So let's see. The last two things I'm going to show you, last three things I'm going to show you right here is going to be box sets. The first one being Gaira's Guts trilogy. I think I've seen 2 of the 3 films in here. This one includes Guts of a Virgin, Guts of a Beauty, and Rusted Body, Guts of a Virgin 3. I think this is the third one, which I haven't seen before, but like really sleazy stuff from the 80s, like Japanese stuff. So yeah. And then we have the Arrow collection, the Nico Mostarakis collection right here, which a really nice guy commented on one of my videos where I talked about movies that were never released on DVD or Blu-ray, and he told me like, well, that film is actually released on that box set, and I thought, well, I really need to get hold of that now. Some of his films, don't get me wrong, some of his films are really like terrible, but I mean, some of them are so bad that they're good as well, but there's still some hidden gems that he has made as well. So it's a very like uneven director. Sometimes he makes entertaining stuff, sometimes he makes entertaining garbage, and sometimes he just makes bad films, let's be honest. But yeah, the Nico Mostarakis collection. This one includes The Time Traveler, Sky High, Terminal Exposure, which was the one that I was referring to about the VHS release before, Glitch, Ninja Academy, and The Naked Truth. So those are the films included in this one. Yeah, and the very last thing I'm going to show you, sorry for speeding up, but I already have to do that. Look at this bad boy right here. Stargate SG-1, the complete collection, which also includes Stargate, the Ark of Truth, and Stargate Continuum, which are like, I think, made for TV films, based on the series, basically like some sort of continuation, I believe. So, but yeah, just look at this one. It's just massive. This is like one of the biggest boxes I've ever bought. Well, I think maybe I think this is probably the biggest one I've ever bought before. Maybe the Lost collection also comes to mind, but yeah. Anyway, oh my god, almost 1 hour and 20 minutes. I hope you can stand the length of this, but I just felt I really needed to show you all of these films because I really need to get them into the shelves instead of just laying around the entire room. So anyway, hope you enjoy this particular video. I'm not really sure what the next video is going to be about. Maybe the ranking video. I'm going to make a ranking video of the sniper films, and then I'm also going to make like 10 movies that I like that everyone hates, horror edition you can say, and vice versa with the 10 horror movies everyone loves that I hate. So look into that one eventually. So but anyway, hope you enjoy this one, and yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.